All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Dogs and Gooses,
Oh yeah,
where the dogs are dirty and the gooses silly.
you had best believe.
Yeah. Williams, what is this? Is this episode 11?
This is episode 11.
Holy cow.
Holy smokes!
That's wild, Williams. That's so wild. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to get into today's episode. Today we have no guest. We decided we would stick with the original cast. But worry you not. Williams is over here planning something nefarious. I can see it by the evil grin.
Everything I do is just me. It's just me being nefarious.
Well, I'm very aware, Williams. I've known you long enough to know that that's the case. And since we have no one to introduce, without further ado, you want to give us the news, Williams?
I would love to. I have two pieces of very important special news today. One is this article I found on NPR. Amateur archaeologists uncover a mysterious ancient Roman artifact in England. Now, the reason that I found this piece of news so important is because it talks about one of the shapes that just no one ever talks about anymore.
Which is?
The dodecahedron.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's my favorite shape,
I know you're
actually.
quite familiar.
Yeah.
The dodecahedron is... Here, I'll show you a picture, Starks. You at home can't see, but it's a 12-sided...
the
kind of
shape. It's a 12-sided dodecahedron.
Yeah. It's it's an actual like 3D object, but it just has 12 sides.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And the gist of this article is that they've been finding over 100 all across Europe.
Really?
And they don't know what it's for.
Well, that's interesting.
I think they said maybe religious purposes or something like that. And there are other theories, like maybe it was a gauge or a rangefinder or even a candlestick, or maybe it was a dice for gambling or gaming, and all this different stuff. And I mean, we have 12-sided die, so
it's true. I'm just gonna say that I do love me a good dodecahedron.
Not as much as I love me a good dodecahedron. You know what I'm saying?
Waves, I'd fight you for that.
Would you?
No.
Oh, okay. I was ready. I was ready. I was like, ready to pounce.
Okay, well, I knew you were. That's why I backed down right quick.
Yeah, because you best not mess with me when we're talking about this kind of stuff. All right, and then the second piece of news found on Fox News and one of their articles, one of their headlines, Snake in Maryland is recovering after accidentally swallowing a gear shift knob. Very unusual in parentheses case.
Well, get better, you old slithery snake, you.
Yeah. And there's a picture of like the shift knob in the snake. It's like this huge bulb, it's made its way pretty decently into the snake. Like I'm sure if it's gotten that far, it could go all the way through. You know what
Listen, I'm not an expert in animal stuff, but I'm just gonna say I don't think that snake's very bright.
Well, you're each entitled to your opinion, and so if that's really the way you feel, Starks. But hey, look, if you're a snake and you're hungry, haven't gotten sustenance in a little while, and I see a gear shift knob that I can easily fit into my mouth.
Williams, is that where the gear shift knob keeps going on my car?
Starks, don't worry about it.
I'm sure sick of buying those things.
Wherever went, yes, it was me. But that is all we have in the news today. Of course, the most important news. And so with that, I turn the time back over to you, Starks.
Okay. Well, now you guys are all caught up on world events. Thank you, Williams, for that wonderful news segment. Honestly, we scoured the news sources for things of import. Nothing else. That was it.
Yep.
That was the most important events in the world today. So, the much anticipated episode. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. This episode is probably going to be enjoyed mostly by me. And Williams is going to be less enjoying of it. And we'll see how you guys like it. Some of you will love this episode, and the rest of you are wrong. So, this is the episode where we're going to talk a little bit of football.
Gross. All right, my God. Grumble, grumble.
If we have a little bit of extra time, we might go through some. I've just looked up random get to know you questions. The 100 best conversation starters for deep or funny conversations.
Are you anticipating that this friendship is about to end and we got to rekindle it?
Maybe, Williams. I'm getting ready for some particularly wrong takes on your end. That's what I'm getting ready for. So tomorrow is the biggest event of the year. There is no question. There's no other events that are even close.
The Country Music Awards are not going on tomorrow. I'm fairly certain.
Williams, I promise you, if you're looking for a rival to the Super Bowl, it's not the Country Music Awards.
Well, you're right. Nowadays, it's not as big of an event, but back in the day, it used to be pretty awesome.
I was going to say, plus, I don't think you even like that many modern country artists. There's only a few. Like Coulter Wall.
Yeah, Coulter Wall is pretty good.
Do you like Zach Brown Band? I like Zach Brown Band.
A few of their stuff I think is good. The Dead South is actually pretty good.
The Dead South is good.
Actually, they're coming to Salt Lake before too long, I think. Not a sponsor, but yeah, they.
Yeah, but you guys could do a fundraiser to raise money for Williams. That's if you want to. So this year in the Super Bowl, we have a fantastic team in the 49ers versus the Chiefs.
Starks? Okay.
What? Williams?
You're starting this off really bad. Because honestly, I don't know much about football. However, I do have a liking towards the Chiefs.
Williams, get off the show right now. I'm using my entire 50% to go to war with your 50%. I hate the Chiefs.
You only say that because they're direct rivals with the Broncos, who I know is your team.
Okay.
And you're wrong.
Also, technically, the Broncos are your team.
A team and the rivals.
Was it the year before last? You told me that you would be a Broncos fan, and we watched some games together, you and I. So much so that you grew to love Old Vic.
Hold on.
Okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
I think 2 seasons ago it was. I sat down and I tried to get into football. I really did, because I saw everyone else was, big into football. I said to myself, we're going to give it a shot. We're going to try and get into this stuff. And I tried. Start to tell them, I gave my heart.
You did try. You even learned who Vic Fangio was and Drew Lock.
Yeah, I got to know 2 individuals who were on the Broncos team at that time, big players. One was the head coach.
Vic
Fangio, bless his soul. And the other was Drew Lock. He's now with the Seahawks, and they don't appreciate him like he should be. He was the quarterback of the Broncos at the time. And that's pretty much all I know about football. But I know that. And then I tried to get into it, just wasn't working. And then to add insult to injury, they fired Vic Fangio, and they
traded Drew Lock.
He traded whatever Drew Lock to a team that just didn't appreciate him. So
I'm just gonna note this is coming from a man who enjoys watching baseball.
I honestly do.
Which to me takes away some of your credibility for watching sports. Very few people enjoy watching baseball.
Baseball is American.
Listen, I love playing baseball, and baseball is a sport I enjoy. Playing. That's an important caveat. I've watched a few baseball games, and all of them, I would have rather, I don't know, watch
a football game?
Well, of course I would rather watch a football game. I'd rather watch a football game than a lot of things. But if I was watching a baseball game, I think I'd rather watch, I don't know, my grandma play water polo, inner tube water polo.
Well, I mean, that would be super entertaining.
Well, I mean, my grandma. She's a stud. So
yeah, she'd be in there beating other people up.
I would not
throwing elbows.
Listen, I would not want to face my grandma in really any sport. She would probably trump me. Trump me? Yeah. So this year we have the amazing team, the 49ers, versus the Kansas City Chiefs, who.
The better team.
Okay, here's the thing, Williams. Listen, I'm going to say, I dislike Kansas City. Before this year, I disliked Kansas City.
Just because they were against the Broncos.
Because they were against the Broncos, but I liked Patrick Mahomes, and I liked Andy Reid, and I kind of liked Travis Kelce.
Andy Reid's the coach, right?
Yes.
I will say he seems like a fairly stand-up individual.
Yes, he seems like a solid guy. He's very well respected throughout the league. But this year, I have been so irritated watching them win games. Now, let me explain why, Williams. Let me
I
explain.
hate to watch teams win too, Starks.
Well, no, but here's why. Because they get so much help from the refs, Williams, and it makes me so mad. You can't hit Patrick Mahomes because he's the face of the league, and it's football.
It's sounding like there's a little bit of bias in what you're saying.
No, I'll show you. Never mind. You don't understand the rules. Listen. You know how in football you get tackled because they want to keep you from getting yards?
I'm familiar.
There were several times where Patrick Mahomes was rushing for a first down, and he would get tackled, and then they would call an unnecessary roughness penalty.
Starks?
Williams?
Maybe they're being unnecessarily rough.
It's not true.
How do you know?
Listen, I understand the rules.
Okay, when they hire you as a ref, you can you can do all this stuff.
Williams, listen. This is not a hot take. This is pretty widely accepted among the sports community.
Among the anti...
because, okay, so quarterbacks are protected, which is understandable because quarterbacks are not the best athletes on the field. There are maybe a few exceptions.
So if you're a quarterback, you're horrible.
Well, I mean, not saying that they're not great athletes, but like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, those guys are all athletes. Like they are very athletic. They're quick. But like, and Patrick Mahomes is definitely an athletic quarterback, but he's not as athletic as some of those other ones. But because they're not as athletic as these like huge dudes that are hitting them, you're supposed to go a little softer on them. If you're like sacking them or making a tackle in the backfield, then they will penalize you for that. But if you're rushing for first down yardage, the quarterback is no longer like a protected player. They're a running back essentially. They need to slide to protect themselves or suffer the consequences. So Patrick Mahomes stopped sliding this year, and every time anyone made him pay for it, they would get a penalty. And it was very irritating to watch. But okay. Obviously, I'm a little partial, but to give everyone the rundown of what's happening this year. Okay, we have San Francisco 49ers. Players to watch on the San Francisco 49ers are Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Nick Bosa on the defense. They've got a pretty solid defensive unit, actually. You've got Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Ray McLeod, Chase Young.
all these names, you're not going to know. Yes. Some of you, most of you, maybe.
Well, that's why I was going to go over them a little bit more.
So just treat them like variables, in a math equation.
Well, that's why I was going to talk about a couple of, like, obviously you're not going to remember those. But really quickly, Brock Purdy is a favorite in the NFL because his
name sounds Purdy.
Yeah, because his name sounds Purdy. Exactly. Brock Purdy's a favorite in the NFL because he was selected last in the draft last year, which gives him the title of Mr. Irrelevant. So his story is a huge underdog story. Last year, he brought his team through the playoffs to, I think, the championship game right before the Super Bowl. And then he got injured in the beginning of the game, and the Niners had already had a bunch of injury problems, and it pretty much kind of ended their season there. This year, he's taken them all the way to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, he has some really good players around him, like really, really good players.
I'd hope so if they've made the NFL.
Yeah, well, but even in the NFL, because so Brock Purdy, great story, seems like a solid dude, kind of the underdog here. And then you have Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is arguably the best running back in the NFL. I would say he probably is. King Henry, Derrick Henry on the Titans would have rivaled him, but this last year, he's been a little underwhelming.
Oh my God, yes, so underwhelming.
Yeah, I know. I know you're aware. I know you're very aware. I mean, he's been a great running back still, but compared to King Henry of old. Deebo Samuel is a crazy good receiver, and they've been using him like a running back too. So he's just been tanking people over. What
cool.
Yeah. Nick Bosa is the end for the Niners, and he's going to be making probably some big plays, I would assume. Although the Kansas City Chiefs have a pretty big offensive line. George Kittle is my favorite tight end and is one of my favorite players in football.
Widely known as the Skittle Monster.
Yes, the Skittle Monster, baby. I'm glad that you remember that.
I remember bits and pieces.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Kittle is a memorable name. You don't think Kittle and just never remember that again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we've got the Skittle Monster. One of my favorite players in football. Very tough guy, very clutch.
Has he ever sponsored Skittles?
I don't know, but he should have.
That's a prime marketing opportunity.
Let's reach out to both of them as the intermediary.
Yeah,
and get rich.
And because Dogs and Gooses brought you two together.
Yeah,
share some of the
wealth. Yeah, exactly. Just throw a measly $1 million our way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, $5 million. I don't. You just
5, 10, whatever. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Another player is Brandon Ayuk. Honestly, those are kind of some of the main names you're going to be seeing out on the field. A lot of those guys are going to be your playmakers. And then for the Chiefs, actually Isaiah Pacheco, this is his second year in a Super Bowl, and it's also his second year in the league. So he's one of the first players ever to do that. He's the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Very good player. People make fun of how he runs because he runs a little bit funny. And then you obviously...
Well, you think he'd be better at running if he was a running back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's good at running. He just looks like... I saw a video once of it. Was like... He looks like an angry toddler running while holding his mom's keys or something. Because he stomps the ground. So when you watch...
Imagine having that reputation. Yeah. Now, I will say, though, whenever I see someone running and they're in track or serious runners,
yeah,
a lot of them run strangely, to say the least.
Yeah.
If you want a good, entertaining thing to do, watch track people run down the road.
Well, when I was when I was at SVU, we did speed training, and they teach you want to be very reactive with the ground. So there's a bunch of really funny looking drills that they have you do, where you essentially are gonna stomp one foot, and then you're trying to react with your toe or the ball of your foot, as it touches the ground. So I imagine that once you get trained, it's about creating that explosiveness, which I think would make you look like you run funny comparatively to somebody who might do distance running.
Perhaps. I don't know. I can't say that I'm a running expert.
Williams, I know you are. I've seen you run all the time.
Oh, I know. Just run here, run there. I practically run wherever I go.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. What was I going to say? Oh, so along with that, we have obviously Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, obviously.
Patrick Mahomes is a heavy favorite. Honestly, as much as I've been a little bit annoyed with him crying this year and the favoritism that he gets, he is a very, very good player. Very, very, very good player.
I appreciate the humility you showed by admitting that, Starks.
Well, Williams, I'm nothing if not humble and honest. In fact, some even say that I'm the humblest of all. And I think that's true.
I'm very proud of that fact.
Yeah, I'm proud of that fact as well. So then you have Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is going to be probably his number one guy. In tough situations, look for Travis Kelce. He's going to be the one probably going to be getting the ball. Kadarius Toney, I think, is coming back.
What was his for?
What's that?
What's his name?
Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius.
Yeah, and then what's the other guy's name?
I couldn't tell you, Starks. I don't know that much.
Well, do better, William.
You're lucky I remember the Skittle Monster.
I'm proud of you for that. If you remember nothing else, then... Oh, it's Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, those guys are all big guys that are going to be making a big play. Chris Jones is also a really good defensive tackle. That you should be seeing on the defensive side of the ball. L'Jarius Sneed is also good. So just a couple names to look out for. Travis Kelce is going to be getting a lot of attention.
That is more than 2.
Well, you're welcome. Travis Kelce should get a lot of attention because of his whole Taylor Swift relationship.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think I heard a little something about that.
Yeah.
Which player is that?
Travis Kelce is the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Travis Kelce.
And he is.
Maybe that's why the Chiefs are gonna win.
He,
Could you imagine if they won and there's like this huge thing and Taylor Swift was there, and that would be like the biggest thing for the NFL ever.
Well, that's probably what they're hoping for. I think that's part of why the Chiefs have been getting some help. I think, and I don't think it's been overt, but it's been like it seems like they're a little bit favored by the refs. And
yeah, it seems to you, Starks.
Well,
who's opposing them?
Williams. I didn't oppose them so much until I saw that. And this year,
That's
listen, Williams, listen. This year, I'm pretty sure the Chiefs' record is 9-8 before the playoffs. That is
fantastic.
A terrible record to take to the Super Bowl. And if I felt like they just came into the playoffs and like played really well and just earned their keep and earned their way into it, then I would be like, okay, great for them. Like they started out as a mid-team and they did really well, but they have played awfully this year. And granted, they spent a lot of time in the playoffs. They spent a lot of time in the Super Bowl, so they're going to be a lot more comfortable there than a lot of teams are. That gives them an advantage. That helps them. But I personally don't feel like they earned it as much as some other teams did. So, anyway.
Starks, you're a lot of complaining.
Yep, get used to it. You're going to hear a lot more.
Oh, here's wah.
Here's what I need you to prove to me. Why would baseball be more interesting to watch than football? In football, you get to see people, they get hit really hard.
I honestly don't know why football is just so lackluster. So many times I've sat there, and you'd think, everyone else is like getting up in their seats, like, yeah. They're really getting into it. I just unable to tap into that energy.
You've got to invest. You've got to invest in the team, Williams.
I've tried so hard.
You got to care if they win or lose. That's what makes it fun.
Maybe that's my problem. For baseball, maybe partially I understand the rules a little bit better. I like the fact that it's, traditionally an American sport. It's our thing.
So is football.
Football is kind of like the new kid on the block of American sport. Baseball's been there,
Football's
forever.
been around for like 100 years.
Starks. But which one is traditionally associated with America?
That's it. Nobody's going to like it but me and a few other people, and the rest of you will be wrong. But now we're going to do an episode at some point on the history of football and how awesome it is.
We don't need another episode like this, Starks.
Williams, this one's about a Super Bowl. It's not the same.
Anyway, baseball, I think is just a cool thing. It's not like I watched a ton of it either.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really tell you all the teams or anything, just because I just haven't invested that much in watching sports typically. However, I will say that if we're given the choice where I was either had to watch a football game or a baseball game, hands down, I choose the baseball.
Williams, I have just one question for you. How does it feel to be so wrong on this subject?
All I'm saying is, Starks, that your nephew,
Jonah,
J Money,
J Money Cool.
I didn't see him play any football. I haven't attended many of it, but he did play a fantastic baseball game.
Well, J Money Cool would be the best dang football player there ever was.
Yeah, but he's playing the baseball because he knows his priorities.
Except I don't think he's going to play baseball again.
What, is he going to be playing football?
I don't think Kelsey will let him play football.
I don't know.
Otherwise, his uncle would encourage it. Probably.
We'll
I don't know.
see.
I haven't decided my official stance on, like, someday when I have kids, if I'll encourage them to play football. Like, if they want to, I don't think I'll stop them. But I haven't decided if I'll encourage them because I do think it's a big character builder. And I think it makes you tough, like, in a lot of ways.
Hard work makes you tough.
Hard work does make you tough. But I think football can be hard work. And personally, I think helps with pain tolerance and general athleticism. But there's a lot higher risk of injury. So
I will say the number of concussions that I hear about just on the old football field doesn't sound optimal.
Uh-huh.
And the long-term effects of that and stuff I hear pretty nasty.
I think for most people there aren't a ton of long-term effects, particularly people who stopped at high school. But I think like maybe once you get into college and the NFL, that's where I think you start to really see those long-term effects. But I'm not sure enough that I'd be like, I don't know, with my kids, I'm not sure what I would encourage or discourage for them.
I can't tell you, Starks.
Williams, you're no help.
I know, Starks, but that's just a fact of life.
Williams, we're probably going to move on from our specific talk about the Super Bowl because I just wanted to recap it in case there's anyone who's interested or cares.
You out there.
Yes.
Somewhere.
First off, you should be interested, but if you're not, that's okay. I'll forgive you. People are wrong all the time.
Michael, my little brother, might be
Well, I hope.
Somewhat intrigued. I don't know if he's paying attention because I think he's a Cowboys fan, if I remember correctly. So,
well,
he may not care about either of these teams.
I appreciate him being a fan of football. Not so much being a Cowboys fan, but of him being a fan of football generally.
You're throwing a little shade.
I would never. I just said something that I didn't appreciate. I didn't say that it was bad. I just didn't say that I didn't personally appreciate it.
Just like he doesn't appreciate the Chiefs. Anyway.
Exactly. Williams, so, do you have any questions about the Super Bowl or anything football related before we start? Also, what's your prediction? Give us a score prediction right now.
Have you ever seen the SNL, the super fans is what they called themselves?
Yeah.
They had Chris Farley and a whole bunch of the other guys.
You showed that to me. Yeah.
Double stubbers. They would give outrageous predictions. Well,
wait. Before you give an outrageous prediction, give me an outrageous one, but give me a real one because if you're on, I'll buy you lunch. And if I'm on, you buy me lunch. How about that?
What? Starks, I don't care enough.
Yeah, but getting the score exactly right is very unlikely. We don't have to do it. Go ahead.
I don't know. Anyway, score. 6 to 105 Chiefs.
Oh, good heavens, Williams. That's an interesting prediction.
Yep.
I hope it pans out for you.
I know it will.
Yep. Anyway.
What's his name? Is it Harry Reid? Henry Reid?
Don't know.
The coach?
Oh.
Andy.
Andy Reid, yeah.
Yeah. Andy Reid he'll take care of the team.
Doubtful.
Oh! Starks, throwing a lot of shade.
Well, I do what I do.
What's your score prediction there, Starks?
I think 23-20. Niners win.
Lame.
Correct. Okay, with that, we're going to close our football segment. With anyone that wants to skip that part.
Oh, speaking of which, I think when I was at work yesterday, one of my guys looked up who the halftime show would be. I think it's Usher. I don't know much about Usher.
Oh, yeah?
Do you know something about Usher?
Nope.
Okay.
I know this is the first Super Bowl with a live DJ. That's all I know.
Oh.
And I only know that because he's a Broncos fan, and somebody posted on the Broncos page.
So Usher's a DJ?
No. I don't think Usher's the DJ.
So
there is
just the music throughout the football game.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure. I just saw a post about it.
So they haven't had a live... Oh, so all the music has just been for the people watching on TV.
Probably. Well, no, so people can still hear it when they're live. I just think they haven't had a live DJ to play or to change up music throughout. Because I think DJs are better, like, because you can just have someone pick tracks, but that would make them a DJ.
I was gonna say they've been having a dead DJ just hanging around, supposedly pressing buttons.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I think they might have some kind of like custom music or something. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know. I'm very white.
Yeah.
And by that I mean that I often listen to Billy Joel.
Billy Joel is pretty awesome. He doesn't get the due that he does. I think he recently came out with a new album or something,
Oh, did he really?
like out of the blue. Because I thought he'd been retired for a little while or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I could have swore I saw a news article just in passing of he's back.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of cool. I'm like, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Billy Joel, but that came to mind because I was singing Piano Man one time when I came into my apartment, and my roommate said, "Are you singing Piano Man?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "That is the whitest thing I've ever seen."
Goodness.
So now you know.
Now I know. That's the white. That's apparently the whitest artist you could listen to. I guess
Billy Joel, I guess so.
Whatever
Williams,
that means.
We've got some random questions here.
From where?
From the interwebs. It's from countryliving.com.
Oh.
So, we're going to run through these. If anyone listened to the beginning football part, great. And they made it here, great. If they didn't, and they
it's been a long, hard journey.
If they want to just skip to this point, wherever it is on the podcast, I'll only be very offended. So, Williams, what's your go-to comfort food?
There's a lot of great comfort food out there, Starks. I don't know what one of the foods that's easy to access for me, and that I really enjoy. It's been one of my favorite foods growing up. I think I mentioned this in the pilot when we did the second date jar.
I know what it is.
Baked potatoes.
Imitation salad.
No. Salad's bad enough. I don't need a fake salad.
I'm pretty sure what I meant to say was imitation crab salad, but imitation salad sounded better.
Yeah, it did.
And the awkward processing silence was very nice.
Yeah, I was like,
you're like, what?
Imitation
what is that?
Salad. They take soy, grind it up to look like lettuce.
Is it salad or is it cake? It's like the trend of old. Did you not see the cake trend where people were making things into cake and they would look real and they would take a knife and cut into it and it was cake? So they would make like steak dinners that would look like real steak.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
That is the worst.
I'll show you some videos after this.
Is it the game show Is It Cake? Because I thought that show was dumb.
I think that was based off of the internet trend.
Okay.
I think. So I think that was based off the internet trend. I'll show you some videos. The rest of you, if you're curious, look it up. If you're not, then don't.
I suppose. Yeah. What would? Yeah. What's your favorite comfort food? Starks.
What do you think it is, Williams? Actually, wait. Let me answer. First,
okay.
It's gluten. But my second one, what do you think it is?
Is it pizza?
Gasp! How did you know?
Starks, you're basically a Ninja Turtle.
Well, I have been
You're running around onto the sports and stuff, and you eat pizza. I'm pretty sure you go out at night, with your little mask, run around, being all ninja-y and stuff.
I have been accused a time or two of being a Ninja Turtle. Williams, if you could travel through time, what time period would you visit? And would you stay there?
I don't know. I think there's something to be said for, you're meant for your own time in a way.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know if I would feel comfortable staying there because, I feel like I'm kind of put here for a reason at this time, maybe, despite my dislike for this era. That's really hard because there's so many events that I'd like to go back and see. And some of them are just like more country music things, like, oh, I'd get to see this artist and that artist. And, a really cool. I always thought that something that'd be really cool is go back and watch the uh, the surrender at the end of the Civil War and just kind of
Oh,
see how the two Robert E. Lee and
if you're gonna do that,
Ulysses S. Grant kind of interact
and how they interact.
yeah.
It'd be interesting too is the Battle of Bull Run, which was this first battle when um, the Confederate thought that they were gonna trash them.
Well, I think that'd be an interesting time. But would I stay there at that time? I think I could definitely get Biden. Well, I guess that'd be post Civil War times.
Um,
But I don't know if it'd be. There's certain things I like about this modern era
yeah.
compared to all the way back then.
Well, yeah. I don't. I think it'd be tough. I think it'd be a tough sell to stay because I think it's probably not near as glorified as it is today for us to look back.
And I will say, even though I'm the dirty dog, I do on occasionally shower.
Really?
Yep. And so back living in those times may not be very conducive to the showering
Did we
idea.
did we tell the story yet of the time when when I
don't know if
called
we
you the dirty dog? We were at my
the origin
house,
story
my
of the dirty
parents'
dog.
house. What's that?
The origin story
The
of the
origin.
dirty dog.
Well, we were. I called you dirty dog before this, but this
Right,
was like
yeah.
the funniest.
What really got it to stick, I think.
Yeah. We were at my parents' house, and I said, "Williams, you dirty dog, you." And Dad goes, "Why is Williams a dirty dog?" And Williams paused. He just thinks about it for like 10 seconds, and he goes, "I haven't showered."
I haven't bathed.
And that just cracked me up so much. But I think I'd have to go with Revolutionary War. I think the Revolutionary War was such an
pretty
interesting
awesome.
time. I'd love to see if I could stay for. That'd be hard because if I could stay for the whole thing, I'd be tempted.
Just to watch
the whole thing. Well, I listened to a history podcast, History That Doesn't Suck, and it was pretty good. Like, he went through all the events of the Revolutionary War. Really interesting, and kind of just interesting to hear about the stuff that like happened back then and all the tactics and yada 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 that was involved. So I think that would be really interesting. Plus, if I could grab a couple of those swords and muskets and stuff,
oh yeah,
they'd be worth a lot of
bring
money.
Bring them back. You can sell them.
Yeah,
buku money.
Yeah, big money, as they say. Williams, have you ever met someone famous?
Somewhat, not like famous to everyone.
Who?
If you're familiar with our church, I've met a couple of
the leaders of the Church of
leaders of the church.
Latter-day Saints. Yeah, that's cool. Which ones?
I met. I mean, you were there when I met
Elder
Jeffrey
Holland.
R. Holland.
Yeah, Jeffrey R. Holland.
I've met. Hold on, I'm trying. He passed away a little while ago, and so he's no longer with us. But
I don't know if you know this, but most of them are very old.
Yes,
so
they're old men.
That doesn't really narrow it down.
I know this. It's oh, good. Hold on. I will pull it up. But while I'm doing that, if you want to answer the question,
the most famous person that I've met is definitely good old Joe Biden.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that you actually met him.
Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't really we didn't shake hands or anything, but I could have shook his hand. We were on a scout trip in Wyoming, and this was back when he was the vice president. So he was not our president at the time, and he we came down these rapids and got to the bottom and pulled our raft off to the side, and they stopped us and they said we couldn't leave. And so we waited there for like 20 minutes, and our tour guide told us that sometimes bigwigs from Washington come through and they won't let you leave, or there's like famous people that will come through. They have to be really famous for them to detain you. So she was saying it's probably somebody really famous and some really big wig. So we waited down there, and soon enough there was a rumor that it was Joe Biden, and he got down, and my scout troop.
He was vice president at the time.
He was vice president. Yeah, this wasn't when he was president. So my scout troop, we weren't wearing our uniforms or anything. So Joe Biden went and found this other scout troop that had been floating the same day, and he was like shaking hands with them, and they were all wearing their uniforms, and it looked very like picturesque. But he didn't really talk to us. But the tour guide said that she had worked in D.C. and said if you clap, they'll come over and talk to you. So I was standing near her, and she started clapping for him, and he walked over to her and shook his hand. And I was right next to her, so I stood like 2 feet from him, but I didn't really say anything to him. So, and then he walked away. And that's the whole story.
Wow.
Well, I guess that's the whole story I'll tell, I guess, on the podcast. He did yell at a park ranger.
Yeah. I think we have these grandiose visions of people, but they're just people.
They're just people.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that.
I don't have necessarily grandiose vision of politicians typically, but
yeah. But anyway,
the other guy I had met was Richard E. Scott.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's a cool one.
He was super cool. Yeah, honestly I have not met any other really what you consider famous people in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I've had dreams where I've met Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash and stuff. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But then again, they're only dreams.
Yeah. Well, someday, Williams, maybe your dreams can become a reality. Not with
Johnny Cash.
Not with Johnny Cash.
He's gone.
Maybe Willie. Maybe old Willie. Not with Toby Keith either. In case you're wondering.
Oh my god,
he passed
That's
away.
That's a sad
this
piece of
week.
news. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did miss one piece.
But that was not funny or hilarious.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
we lost the treasure.
It's our news supposed to be funny or hilarious? I thought it was just regular news.
Of course it's regular news, Starks. You know, whatever you think.
Don't let the fact that we missed one little tiny story let you think that we miss any other stories, because we cover all of everything all the time.
And we still got to it.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah. Exactly. So shout out to Toby Keith. He's got a lot of really good songs.
Honestly, a lot of them are really funny too.
Yeah.
That's half the reason I like to listen to a lot of them. Just.
Yeah. Did he do Want to Talk About Me?
Yeah.
That was him, yeah.
Want to Talk About Me? Yeah.
It's a really good song. Yeah, I like that song. So, how are we doing on time, Williams? We're probably going to wrap up here pretty soon. Pretty short episode. Honestly, not super involved, because I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like the best sport in the world.
Baseball, you're right. More of you need to like baseball. Facts.
Williams, I'm a little disgusted with you, if I'm being honest, right this moment.
Starks, I'll be honest, I've been really sad about the state of how you've been liking this football way more than any other sport. I think that's sportist, for one.
Williams, don't make me rally my army of silly gooses.
Starks, us dirty dogs, we might be small in number, but we're pretty tough group.
You're pretty feisty?
We're feisty.
Well, I'm fairly certain so far I've got 3.
We don't mind fighting dirty.
Well, or dog-like.
That's true.
That was just as good as yours. I'm pretty sure I can call on 3 silly gooses right now.
What are you going to try to do? Silly us to death?
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Dirty us to death? Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Well,
quite possibly.
You know what, Williams? Guess what? We ain't scared. Okay? Okay?
Maybe you should be.
No. Anyway, we're going to bring our episode to a close, unless, Williams, you have anything to add for the day.
I thought maybe I had something, but I don't remember what it was. So either it's not important. Well, actually, it's a thought that I had, so, you know.
Well, of course,
super important. But maybe I'm just not supposed to share it.
Well, share it with us next week, Williams.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Well, okay then. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on Dogs and Gooses, where the dogs are dirty and the gooses are silly. Williams, you want to close us out with the motto?
I'd love to. Listen to it if you want, or not. We don't care. See you later. I mean, hear you later. Whatever it is.